Thank you, Alex. Please welcome Brendan O'Brien.
Please allow me one moment, a timer, to set up before I speak. Why don't I just keep it here so I can refer to it more. Asperger's comes with a strong ability to listen, but it could be even stronger with the process of interpretation to verbalization of answers to the other person. Asperger's is high functioning autism with in the front areas of the brain that produces a what's called delayed executive functioning, and comes with the side effects of anxiety, stress, and in some cases, excessive hyperactivity. I credit my great self-awareness for when 5 years before I even finished college, I recruited a psychologist to provide the necessary information to my college to provide me with special education support, such as extra time on exams. Since completing all those college years, at age 24, I met with my first regular therapist, and we agreed that I would take faith in science and psychology continuously. And I just graduated from college with science, so I should have faith in it. I will continue to believe that I have Asperger's, and I will understand the effects of therapy and medicine on symptoms like improving eye contact and a longer attention span. These are the same symptoms that come with attention deficit disorder, but the symptoms of anxiety and a delayed speech are more characteristic of autism, which is why Asperger's is not considered a diagnosis, but the proper diagnosis is to put symptoms of attention deficit disorder with the stress and anxiety and the executive functioning process together to represent Asperger's only for the purpose of therapy and medication. I went to my neurotherapist at age 29, ready to tackle any issue, because I was now certain that I had some sort of learning impairment like autism or attention deficit disorder. My self-awareness provided me with very accurate observations of myself, especially at the beginning of every therapy session with my therapist, and of course 5 years before I even started college, about the pairing of high-functioning autism with attention deficit disorder being a very common occurrence. Psychoanalytical testing revealed that I have both conditions. So my observations were very accurate. The frontal areas of the brain are responsible for every human's ability to verbalize and communicate their thoughts through speaking and writing. I have found that my natural ability of self-awareness comes from the middle and back of the brains, where I absorb all the information I learned about learning disabilities like Asperger's, It allows me to have the wisdom to see exactly what I have. I have what is called a approximately 90% executive functioning-ish component in the front area of the brain, with approximately a 10% anxiety component, which is why anxiety is considered a secondary symptom, because it's only a small percentage. My self-awareness is why I spent the last 12 years with and without a therapist practicing my communication skills. My therapist had a great approach with role-playing, in an approach she would call be curious. My self-awareness to go out and practice being curious goes like this. I will listen to what every other person has to say, and I will keep my attention on that person until I've heard everything I want to hear, and then we will move on to whatever's next. That's like an interview or attending a speech. You're all listening to me, waiting for me to finish. You're not going to interrupt me now. It's a speech. It's not an interview. For recent years, I have been able to reach a point where I feel that the executive functioning issues are merely about 65% of my brain issues, and I have what I consider about a 30% improvement in the communication component in my brain, and I only claim to have about a 5% anxiety component whenever I meet a therapist or talk to my psychiatrist. It's all working. Now let me tell you about people who have some difficulty with self-awareness. People with bipolar disorder. My therapist confirmed that people with bipolar disorder allow their self-awareness to work against them because their resentment and arrogance, they say, oh, I don't need therapy, I don't need medicine. So why is a self-awareness with Asperger's such an advantage? Well, if I go and get treated for my Asperger's and I am self-aware of it, and I found all this medication therapy are working, what if I go up to someone with bipolar and say, look what I've done, why are you so resentful, why are you so resisting the help? Look what it's doing for me. I could help people with Asperger's like I have, or people with bipolar, which I don't actually have, but I have it in my family. My older brother has been in and out of therapy and refuses to take his medication. But my cousin has been successful for 30 years as a psychiatrist and finds she is happier taking medication and with therapy and does not live without it. Let me take this a step further. Besides attention deficit disorder and to go with Asperger's, one can have bipolar disorder and Asperger's. This is where this part becomes fully relevant to this subject. I have a friend who is a great artist and writer. Some of the things that people with Asperger's are tended to be good at are science and art. So, writing. She is very successful. She has Asperger's, and she's very open about taking her medication to help her with depression that comes with bipolar disorder. I am someone who is very successful with Asperger's and attention deficit disorder to understand in complicated subjects like biology. My self-awareness is why I've been stronger on my own by hiring coaches to prepare for interviews and joining public speaking group called Toastmasters Public speaking is a well-regarded practical therapy for autism and Asperger's. I'm going to ask you to let me finish a few more sentences. My final testament to self-awareness is this. If other people have found stability by addressing their mental struggles, then you too can be aware of the counseling, coaching, and mental health resources that are available to everyone. As my therapist would often say, why do you have to struggle? Be aware. Be self-aware. Therapy and medicine works and can help you feel better about yourself. Look at me. I am self-aware of my Asperger's. Thank you.
I don't think